One method to solve for x would be to complete the square. So running through the steps on the right-hand side, let's go through this example. I'm going to move the constant to the other side. So let's add the 9 to both sides. Only reason why I do that, since it doesn't have anything to do with completing the square specifically, I like to not be distracted by it. So from here, we're now going to start building our square. Remember that we are building a square, not necessarily a rectangle this time. So we want the dimensions to be exactly the same. I'm going to take the first term, that is the x squared, the coefficient on the x squared itself, so this 1, tells me how many of these squares I'm going to need to build. In this case, I only have to build one x squared. So I'll put the x squared in the typical location that we've been following. Then, since I'm building a square, I'm going to take that 8x and I'm going to split it evenly into the x locations. So if I cut that in half. Well, what we need to do is we need to figure out what goes in the top right-hand corner. Well, begin your factorization. We know that to get the x squared, we're going to need the x. Once we have that, we should be able to figure out what the base and the height is. From here, we can multiply the 4 and the 4. That's going to give me 16. That 16 is going to be added to both sides of the equation. It is the magic number that we need to complete the square. If we add the 9 and the 16 on the other side, we're going to get 25. Now, from here, we want to replace the left-hand side, the x squared plus 8x plus 16, with its factorization. So we're going to rewrite this as base times height. Carry the 25 down with you. Now, if you inspect this x plus 4 times x plus 4, this is technically a square. Since those are the same, we can rewrite it as x plus 4 squared is equal to 25. We are still trying to solve for x, so we are going to start peeling the items away from the x itself. The first one that's going to have to go is the squared, so we're going to square root. Remember that whenever you square root, you technically get two answers, so make sure that you take your plus or minus with you. The square and the square root cancels, and the parentheses are no longer necessary. Now, if I can square root 25, I'm going to, which I can. This is 5. Move the 4 to the other side. I do not stack it directly below the plus or minus 5 since there are technically two 5s in there. The negative 4 in front, plus or minus 5 second. If this can be solved and completed, you must do so. So negative 4 plus 5 and negative 4 minus 5. Solve each one of those. We get x is equal to 1, x is equal to negative 9. These are our two answers for this question. Moving on to something that's just a little bit more difficult. Also, want to take a look at this a different way instead of actually drawing the boxes. Idea is the same. Move the constant to the other side. Ideally, we only want to have to build one square when we're doing this. So I'm going to find the coefficient on the x squared. Regardless of what it is, that is the number that I am going to divide everything by. So everybody gets divided by 2. This gives me an x squared, a minus 6x, is equal to a half. Again, everybody gets divided. Now, we think about building this square. The process here is consistent. So I know I'm going to be adding some number. That number is the number that completes the square. I also know that whatever I add to one side, I'm going to have to add it to the other side as well. To find the value that completes the square, we're going to take the negative 6. And think about the process. we would have split it in half into the two boxes. That would have given us the base. Then we would square to fill in the box. So negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, squared is 9. 9 is the value that gets added to each side. We can go ahead and combine the terms on the right-hand side. That is 9.5, or we can rewrite it as 19 over 2. At this point, we would rewrite this as the factorization. So this would have been x minus 3 times x minus 3. Those match, so we can rewrite it as x minus 3 squared is equal to 19 over 2. Now start peeling away. Don't forget the plus or minus in front of the square root of 19 over 2. The square and the square root cancel. Parentheses are no longer necessary. I don't know what the square root of 19 over 2 is, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. Add the 3 to the other side. Since we do not know the square root of 19 over 2, we can actually leave our answers like this.